I think that certain things could have been done a little bit better, a little bit softer, if I'm being honest. But I wish that it could have been more of a celebration. I don't have bad blood towards Hannah. I wish her all the very best, and I told her as such after the tournament. We had a difficult relationship, but we navigated it, or I navigated it as best as I could. It was a difficult professional dynamic. That's the lowest I've ever been in my life.
Thinking about ending it all?
There was definitely conversations in my head that I wished didn't happen. I hope people will appreciate my vulnerability. I think it's hard to put your heart and soul out there. If anyone can take anything from my story, I hope that they see that even in your darkest days, there's something right around the corner. Just find a way to keep going. I don't look at it like I quit. I don't like that word, obviously, as an athlete. I think for me it was something that was building for a very long time, and something that I'd been really honest about and candid about behind closed doors, and tried to navigate those difficult conversations and dynamics, which is complicated, right, in elite sport. But I tried to handle those things professionally and privately, which I think I managed to do. I think that's why it was probably such a shock to people.
What about the fallout from when you did announce your retirement and the statement that the FA put out? You say in your book you were very disappointed with that.
I think that I wished certain things could have been maybe handled differently, I think it's fair to say. I wish that it could have been more of a celebration than what it was positioned to be. But ultimately, that's how it was. And I tried to just step out of the chaos of it as much as I could, because the girls had a tournament to play. You know, and I understand that that leaves a lot of space and room for people to interpret and make their own assumptions, and I accepted that because I didn't want to step into the spotlight and speak. But obviously now I'm in a moment where I'm writing this book, and it's honest and ugly at times. I think it's unusual to write a book while you're still playing, and I guess I've never done things the usual way. But I've tried to be, open and vulnerable about what I was feeling and experiencing. You experienced,
and you described it as hateful press post-retirement. Do you think that the FA statement contributed to that, and Sarina's quote in that statement?
I don't want to point fingers anywhere. That's not what I want to do. I think that certain things could have been done a little bit better, a little bit softer, if I'm being honest. But again, there's also an element that things grow legs of their own, if that's the phrase, and they kind of avalanche and snowball. And I feel like I kind of got caught. I was kind of caught in the crossfire of that, which was sad.
The fact that you did it so close to the tournament, and people would look at it and say, well, Mary's been told she's not number one, and now she doesn't really care about the team, she cares about Mary.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that couldn't be further from the truth, but I have to accept that that's an assumption that people can make. I know the conversations I was having behind closed doors, and I also know that I persevered through a lot when I wasn't playing and when I was playing. You know, there were dynamics at play that existed when I was number one and when I wasn't the number one, and it didn't just become, oh, she wasn't number one, oh, she's off. There was a prolonged period of time where this was happening, and sometimes I think it's okay, or, well, I think it is anyway. Maybe other people will disagree. They have different morals and beliefs and values, and that's okay too. I think it's okay to say, I gave everything I could. When I played, when I didn't play, I gave everything to the shirt, to the goalkeeper group, to the team. I handled everything thrown at me with the most professionalism that I could, and I knew that that was the right moment to step aside.
You got a lot of support online after your decision, but you also got some abuse too.
I did, yeah.
What was it like coping with that?
I think it's difficult when people say things about you. I don't mind people saying their opinion on what they think of me as a goalkeeper. I think naturally that's kind of what you sign up to in this life. But when they come for you on a personal level and for your character, it's challenging, especially when you don't feel like it's true. It's a distorted narrative that I felt like I either had to step into and correct, and that would have drawn so much attention to a situation that I didn't really feel needed to be highlighted. I think again, I wanted, you know, in an ideal world, two things to be true at the same time. You know, what a fantastic international career I've had, what incredible memories, incredible success, and on to the next generation, on to the next wave of people coming through who are incredibly talented and then also went on and won in their own right. What the team achieved this summer is absolutely unbelievable, and that should be the talking point.
You talk in the book a lot about your relationship with Sarina and how that relationship with Sarina, to use your phrase, changed in the blink of an eye. Do you think that was just because she had decided that you weren't necessarily her future, or was something else at play?
I don't know. I think you'd have to ask Sarina. I think for me personally, Sarina and I had an amazing relationship from the jump. I think she showed faith in me and gave me an opportunity when others didn't, and I will never not be thankful for that. I'm incredibly grateful and have a tremendous amount of respect for her. She's a manager, she has to make decisions, and I respect them. But I think there was an energy shift that was at play from, you know, that had been building, as you say, for quite some time, and that's what I was feeling and experiencing. But I think that happens in relationships over time. I think in personal and professional relationships, things aren't always hunky-dory, or things change, or, you know, and Sarina wanted to go in a different direction, and I think that changed things between us. You know, at one point I was really in a leadership role, and I kind of had that taken away from me gradually as well. And that's okay, like, you're allowed to move on and go in different things, but I think that changed the way I felt and my England experience, if you like.
Was that because you don't believe she was honest with you at the time?
I think that she found it. I think that she found the situation difficult. I think I found the situation difficult. I think that I would have preferred her to have been more direct with me, but she did what she felt was best for the team and for her and for that situation. I don't think she deliberately tried to do anything wrong, or I don't think she you know, I think it was just a circumstance. We're all doing the best that we can.
You knew, though, that there was a change in the dynamic, and you asked specific questions on quite a few occasions at several camps.
Yes.
And you didn't get answers. Is that cruel?
I don't want to say it's cruel, no. I think Sarina did the best that she could. I think that, I don't know if she looks back now and maybe wishes she'd said things slightly differently. Maybe she feels she did say certain things. I can only, as I say, go off my experiences. I think I was desperately trying to get clarity on a situation that I felt. And I think certain things could have been avoided. I think...
Like what?
I think just it running on so long, if I'm being honest. But I don't think there was anything malicious in it. I think it's working dynamics. I'm sure a lot of people have experienced it in their industries maybe, but maybe football's more of a brutal one.
And central to that situation was obviously Hannah Hampton, and you were disappointed that she was brought back into the squad. Can you explain specifically why?
No, I can't explain specifically why, because I think that would involve going into a level of detail that I don't think is appropriate in terms of me speaking on somebody else. I think, unfortunately, there were certain things that happened that have played a part in my experience and are relevant to contexts and understanding why I have made certain decisions. And I think that also it's well documented. So I think that there's no need for me to do that. It's not my MO is never to put down especially another woman. I'm not into that at all. But
you do say in the book, you talk about her disruptive behaviour at length.
We had a difficult relationship, but we navigated it, or I navigated it as best as I could. It was a difficult professional dynamic, but ultimately you're in a team and you've got to try and find your way through. Personalities are different, values are different, but I think she's a very talented goalkeeper, and I think she had a great summer, and I think that that is part of my truth, what had happened previously.
Did she share your team ethic?
I think we had different ideas of what that looked like. I think that she's tried to make a fresh start potentially, but I think that there was a lot of things that have happened in the past, and you know, we tried to move on from that.
Sarina Wiegman has is known for being quite brutal, and she dropped her at one stage, but then invited her back in. Did that surprise you, given Sarina's track record? Do you think she was excused when she shouldn't have been?
I think that it was more of a surprise when I felt like, and I say this in the book, that the goalkeeper union at that time was in a really good place. But that's the manager decided, Sarina decided that she felt this was best for the team. And I respected that. I was asked my opinion, as other leadership characters were at that time. And she made her decision, and I respected that. And beyond that, it's all about the team and the common goal, and we continued to navigate that after her reintroduction.
But when Hannah came back in, did that change the dynamic again?
Yeah, the dynamic changed again, yeah. Because it was...
Negatively?
I don't want to, hone in on, negatively. I just think it was different, and it was something we had to continuously work at. It was something that I really tried to work at as well.
Because of that change in the dynamic, did you stop enjoying being part of camp, which you used to love?
Later down the line, I definitely didn't enjoy the England camps as much as what I would like, which played a part in my decision. I think there was one really that I noticed I could feel the deterioration of it. And I think that happens as well, like, truth be told, when I'm a competitor and I'm not playing as much. But I think there were certain things that were happening, a misalignment of values that I felt like, was affecting my enjoyment. And certain things were being excused, and I felt like that was affecting the way I enjoyed England. And life is too short. And also, it's such an incredible thing representing England. It's the greatest privilege and honour of my life to do what I do, and having achieved everything that I've achieved. I didn't want to look back at my career and think I've taken that spot from somebody who could have really benefited from that experience with the passion that I have for the development of young goalkeepers. That doesn't align with who I am whatsoever. But also, I wanted to look back and not have any regrets of, you were wishing the time away, or you weren't as present as what you should have been.
When you saw how it played out, the tournament itself, did you have any regrets about your decision?
No, not at all. If anything, I think it reinforced the decision I made. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody else, but that's how it personally felt. I spoke to a few of the girls since, and I'm not going to speak on behalf of them, but they completely even understand my decision now. And I think that was, that's the nice thing about it. I knew that they would win. I know that probably sounds cliche, but I had every fibre of my being knew that they would win. There was no doubt in my mind.
Which meant you could have had a second Euros medal.
Absolutely, and it would have
gave that up.
It would have been much easier for me to stay and take my medal and go quietly, but it would have felt inauthentic to me. It would have felt like I was taking a place from somebody else who would have, I don't want to say relished that experience more than me, but I knew the cost, that what it was costing me, my energy to show up and pretend that I was feeling great about everything. Like, I was really carrying certain things and feelings really heavily. And, I spent a lot of the February camp in Portugal in my room alone, crying and emotional about different things, one thing or another. And I didn't want to be that way. I don't think that's good for anybody. And to be at a major tournament with your country is unbelievable.
Your mental health really suffered over that period then?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And apart from tears, how did that manifest itself?
I think you just feel really lost in life. You think, what am I doing? What is the point of all of this? In terms of, like, I felt like I was losing my purpose. I was losing a part of myself. And I think I've experienced that before. I've experienced that feeling of, it's not about losing the love for the game for me personally. Like, my teammates say that now at PSG. They say, oh God, you just love football, don't you? And I say, yeah, I do. I don't know what it is. I just love it so much. I care about it so much, like it keeps me up at night. But I feel like I was losing parts of myself. I was losing, like, my spark and my energy, the glitz in my eye, that little love for life.
And England did that to you?
England, the situation contributed to it. The situation contributed.
What was it like watching the tournament?
I was filled with pride watching them.
No resentment?
Oh, God, no. God, no. No, because I feel like it played out exactly the way that I would have liked it to. Everyone went on to win in their own way.
And even Hannah being so successful.
Yeah, because I don't have bad blood towards Hannah. I wish her all the very best, and I told her as such after the tournament, and obviously I bumped into her at Ballon d'Or. I presented her with the award.
What was that like?
It was like, damn, I wish this award had existed 2 years ago. but no,
really, it must have been difficult for you.
No, I think that we've moved past that. It was a part of the experience, and for me, I've tried to draw a line under that. No bad blood. I can't not acknowledge it in an authentic story, and I don't want to lie about things. That's not who I am. But equally, that's what happens. You don't stay number one forever. Someone's always going to come and take your place, and what better way than for the next England goalkeeper to be immensely successful, and for England to be immensely successful.
What happened post 2022? Do you think women's football, and I'm thinking particularly of your experiences at United and knowing what you know in the WSL, did football take that opportunity as well as it should have done, do you think? Because I mean, obviously we've come a long way from you having to clear up dog mess, or someone having to clear up dog mess off the pitch before you can play. But still, does it feel like it's taken the leap it should have done?
I think it's taken a big leap forward, but I think there's still leaps and bounds to go. I think that it's important to remember in this kind of discussion that the top of the game, you know, the top 10% or the top clubs, players do experience that there, but at other clubs the progress is slower, and women's football is in a unique space where I think the Lionesses, what we achieved and what they continue to achieve is setting the bar for women's sport in this country, and also around the world as well, in other countries. And there's some ideals that need to catch up with that notion, budgets that need to catch up with that notion, but it's going to be a long process. You know, it wasn't that long ago that the game was banned, and
it also wasn't that long ago when you were selling your boots on eBay.
Right, a credit card debt and all these things.
Tell me about that period of your life, even though you were playing pro football.
Yeah, I think it's such a strange one because, yeah, I was playing professional football and everything looks all hunky-dory. And the reality of it was I was really struggling to make ends meet. This was obviously post 2020 when, or sort of that time when I was not in the England squad. So financially was, I was then living off my United contract at the time, which I was struggling with.
And you were scraping your name or your number off the boots?
I know, I hope I don't get in trouble for that. But yeah, old boots that I found, and some would be personalised, and I would, obviously there'd be some of them brand new and unworn or too small or the wrong size or whatever. And again, it's better than them going in the bin, but they could be, recycled and rehomed to somewhere else. And at the same time, it really helped me with the reality of the situation I was in.
And you were also taking food for evenings from the United canteen? I
was. And I think I was really lucky actually that the nutritionist, and especially, was really supportive of that. Because I look back now and think that could have played out differently. But yeah, I remember seeing a staff member taking a second lunch for a meeting that they had later. And I thought, well, that's not too dissimilar from me having dinner later on. And at that point, I was getting to a situation where, I didn't have a tremendous amount of expenditure, but by the time you have, your car, your rent, insurances, etc., I'd got to a place where it was more red than it was green.
You mentioned COVID. That wasn't a great time for you either, was it? You went to some dark places. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I think it was a difficult time. Again, I felt like the carpet had been pulled from underneath me in a lot of ways, and I had to really dig deep to figure out who I was and who I wanted to be. But before that was a lot of pain and suffering, was some unhealthy coping mechanisms, was just kind of sitting in the darkness for a while. I'd lost I'd lost myself. I'd lost what made me me, the zest for life that I previously had.
You were drinking?
I was, more than I should have been at that time. And it wasn't a healthy coping mechanism at all.
Yeah, how low did you go?
Really low. That's the lowest I've ever been in my life.
Well, thinking about ending it all?
There was definitely conversations in my head that I wish didn't happen, if truth be told. And that's painful to admit now when I think about, all the incredible people I have in my life and who that would have potentially hurt. And I think that's why I try to do so much as I can for mental health now, because I know how you can get wrapped up in that and not see a way out. And I'm grateful that I found a way. And I think that's given me my greatest port of strength, is the fact that I was able to get out of that, regardless of everything else that's happened, even some things that you've spoken about today. I never want to go back to that place ever again.
Apart from anything else, look what you've achieved post that period.
Yeah, I mean, I think if anyone can take anything from my story, I hope that they see that even in your darkest days, there's something right around the corner. Just find a way to keep going. And it might not always be dressed up in makeup and looking presentable. It might literally just be getting out of bed, getting out of your pajamas, going downstairs to make a cup of tea. Don't just keep trying to find a way to plug forward and make that progress. It doesn't feel like progress, but it is.
What's been your proudest achievement, do you think, in football to date? Is it the Euros, the penalty save at the World Cup? Is it Nike? Which is it?
I think the Euros by far, because I just think it changed everything. I think what we achieved as a team, I think it completely, it changed the landscape of women's football in this country and also in other countries. I would talk to other girls from around the world and they'd be like, we want to do what you've done and we want our federation to look after us like yours has. And I think then the night thing on a personal note is, I'm just glad that I had the courage to speak. I think I found my voice.
When it is all over, what would you want your legacy to be?
I hope that people will remember me to be, a good person, a good character, someone who tried to always do the right thing, who was honest even when it was ugly, authentic. And I hope that they'll say I've left women's football in a better place. I hope they'll say that I made goalkeeping cool, that, if they say great things about me as a goalkeeper, then that's a bonus, but I'd rather be known for my character and how I've tried to help others.
And what about the book itself? What's the main purpose? Did you find it therapeutic, for example?
A little bit, yeah. It was. I wrote it over the summer, and I think it helped me process some things quicker than what I ordinarily would have done. I think, but I'm still processing, some of the things that have happened in more recent times. But yeah, it was therapeutic. I think it's scary to put a book out there, especially as a current player. You don't know what kind of ribbons you're going to get behind the goal from now on. But I hope people will appreciate my vulnerability. I think it's hard to put your heart and soul out there because you're opening yourself up to criticism. And then what I experienced in the summer, I think, it scars you a little bit.
You talk about that openness. You've talked about your personal life, probably for the first time.
First time, yeah.
Was that difficult? I mean, you must have had to think long and hard about, or discuss with Kitty whether you were going to do that or not.
I did, yeah. We discussed it at length, and I think the truth be told, it wasn't really something I wanted to discuss. I've always tried to keep my personal and professional life separate, because I choose this life that has thrown me into the public eye, but the people who are in my life haven't necessarily. I also want to protect them and keep a little bit of my life just for me, but it felt inauthentic to not discuss such an important relationship in my life, the most important relationship in my life, the most important person in my life, and also what she has given to in terms of helping me become who I am now. It would have been inauthentic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Steve.
No, thank you.